Hi, my name is Vladislav Vasilip, and I'll be doing my presentation today titled Our Nicotine Addicted Youth. So let's get into it. Basically, they start young and they die young. This is the typical progression of people who get hooked on nicotine. Many Americans today are starting at very young ages, such as the photo on the bottom left. And then in the middle, it leads to all sorts of lung problems. And then they become elderly people who have a series of health complications because of the nicotine use. So for my introduction, teen nicotine use is on the rise. Flavored nicotine products make up a huge part of the market. We have flavors ranging from cereals to desserts to every kind of fruit you can think of. Nicotine salt products such as Juul and Zyn are at the forefront of the problem, and bills to ban flavored nicotine are in the works. We'll discuss all of those things, and then at the end, we will have a recap and a brief questions and answers. What gives me the credibility to speak on this subject is, in addition to the extensive research I have done for this presentation, this issue affects me personally. When I was 14 years old, I was introduced to flavored nicotine products, menthol cigarettes, by my friends. And from there, I became hooked. I started vaping, smoking, and it took me about 10 years to finally break the habit. I've been nicotine free for about 1 year now. So I know firsthand what it's like to be a kid that just gets hooked on something, and then next thing you know, it's a decade and you're still a smoker. So I have a very personal connection to this. So now let's discuss the problem. And on this slide, we have images of people vaping and what vape juice is. So youth vaping is on an upward trend. According to the graph below, which was taken from sciencenewsforstudents.org, you can clearly see how from 2017 to 2019, vaping has been on an upward trend. And as flavored nicotine products become more popular and more available, youth nicotine use rises accordingly. So facts about nicotine use amongst youth. This image below is pulled from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control at www.cdc.gov. And it shows how nicotine products are not just nicotine and vapor. Originally, they were marketed as a safe alternative to smoking, just water vapor with nicotine added in, but that is not the truth, we now know. They contain volatile organic compounds, ultrafine particles, flavoring such as diacetyl, which is a chemical linked to serious lung disease, and other things such as heavy metals. According to Schmerling in 2019, nicotine negatively affects a teenager's developing brain. This is why you should care about this issue, because it could be your children one day that are being affected by it. And vaping and smoking can cause lung problems and other health issues, according to Schmerling in 2019. Let's talk about the extent of the problem. So youths who vape are 4 to 5 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes within the next year, according to Christensen in 2019. And in 2019, 25% of 12th graders, or 1 out of every 4 students, had a vaping habit. That's a huge statistic. Now let's get into the solution. Below on the bottom left, we have one of the typical ways that we deal with things in America, and that is democracy. Your vote is extremely important. So let's talk about what you can do to get into it. One of the major solutions that I've found for flavored nicotine products and what we can do to ban them is Senate Bill 793, according to an article written by Byrne in 2021. Half of smokers smoke mentholated cigarettes, according to an article by Aguilera in 2020. And this really shows that if half of smokers never had access to those flavored cigarettes in the first place, they might not have gotten hooked. I can personally tell from my experience that I became hooked because I started smoking mentholated cigarettes. I did not like it when I tried a normal cigarette. Other things that we can do is ensure that policies are in place on school campuses. I know that El Camino does have a no smoking policy. So here's how the solution works. Um, so there are many clauses in SB 793, according to Byrne in 2021, which would make it illegal to sell flavored nicotine products, which includes things such as hookahs, vapes, flavored cigarettes, and Newsom has a big role in this. He approved the vote for this bill, but it got delayed. So there will be a revote in 2022 on the referendum, and that's when it's important for you to go vote. And here's how your vote will solve the problem. It will restrict sales and impose punishments for retailers. According to an article written by Byrne in 2021, retailers who break this law will have to pay fines upwards of $250 if they are caught selling flavored nicotine products. This is a very big deal because at the end of the day, the retailer is there to make money. And if there's a big fine or a large risk involved, this product will eventually be either pushed into the black market, where it'll be very difficult to get, or it'll be outright eradicated. So this brings the issue to the limelight for the voters and the parents. Now let's talk about objections to the bill. Believe it or not, not everybody is on board with banning flavored cigarettes. And here's why. Many people believe that the bill could be inconsiderate to minority communities such as Blacks and Latinos who statistically smoke more menthol cigarettes. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this really true? Well, statistically, it is true. They do tend to smoke more mentholated cigarettes, but here's why that objection is just not right. If these minority communities never had access to these cigarettes in the first place, they wouldn't have gotten hooked on them. So it's a logical fallacy. This bill is actually very considerate because considering it would drastically reduce how many minors would start smoking flavored cigarettes in the first place. Now let's imagine a world where SB 793 passes thanks to your vote. Here's a world with flavored nicotine. It's a world that I experienced firsthand, me and all my friends smoking at the age of 14. And here's a world without it, just kids having fun, not getting addicted to dangerous cigarettes. Now let's get into action. Here's what you can do. You can write your local politicians, your city council, your senators, your congressmen, and participate in the next referendum vote in 2022. And to wrap things up, flavored nicotine products are contributing to nicotine addiction epidemic in our youth. And nicotine addiction leads to health problems. We can combat this by writing to our legislators and getting out there and voting. And here are my references. Thank you.